Today on Locked On Canadiens, it is the midseason report cards. Find out who gets an A, who needs to be better, and who might need to be relegated.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canadiens. I want to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. As you know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. Love saying that, and it's all thanks to you guys. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. My name is Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick, and I'm not joined today by my wonderful co-host Ian Boisvert. We're very hopeful that he's going to be able to return at some point this week. Everything's okay. He's fine. It's just work. So today I want to talk about the midseason report cards. I am cheating a little bit because the Canadiens have played 42 games, not 41, but due to the other programming that we had earlier this week, we're doing it now, and actually because they had a back-to-back in over the weekend. So I'm going to talk about, what report grade each player gets and why. And we're going to talk about a couple of areas of concern and who or what can and needs to be better. I said relegated in the intro, but really I just mean, who needs maybe a little bit more seasoning. So I'm going to start right away because I do not want to run out of time. And I want to start maybe with a couple of people who haven't played very much. So we've only seen, for example, Adam Engstrom for, I want to say 11 games this season. Not very much. So it's I can't really give him a report card. He hasn't had many points, but he's looked good. He had a couple of situations where I wasn't, a super fan of his work. So I think for him, we're not giving a report card. We're just, we're giving an honorable mention. Not the, when you before we had grades, your parents would get a behavior report or whatever. So he's getting a glowing one of those. Joshua Roy, we only saw him for 3 games, didn't love him for 3 games. I'm not going to give him a report card. Now, the next one that I think is really interesting is Jared Davidson. He was here for a lengthy amount of time. I want to say it was 3 or 4 weeks. He played 10 games with the Montreal Canadiens. And overall, I would give him a C+ because I thought that he looked very strong in a lot of games. But overall, he wasn't a huge difference maker, and there were some defensive mistakes that he made. Florian Jacquet, I'm going to give him, he was only there for 5 games. I'm going to give him, though, an A+ in the entertainment factor. And then I'm going to give him maybe a C+ as well for play. Maybe a B- for him in those 5 games. Patrick Laine, he only played 5 games. He, unfortunately, in those 5 games got a D. But I think watching the power play over the course of this season, we have been able to see that even though his play in those 5 games wasn't great, they really, really need him on the power play. They really, really need someone who's going to shoot and who's going to score on the power play. And he was skating today. He was seen skating today. So we don't know when he's going to come back, but I would expect it's not going to be for a while still. Owen Beck, he's only played 11 games. And I'm going to give him maybe a B- because he's not been overwhelming or underwhelming. He's had a couple of really, really, really good games. And then there were a couple of games where he was just quiet, not showing all that much. Arbor Jacquet, for play, I think it's not necessarily fair, but I'm going to give him a C. But I also think part of it is because of the defensive pairing that, really has brought out the worst in him, which is the one with Jaden Struble. But he has some games where he's phenomenal, and then he has other games where he takes a really boneheaded penalty, or he's not able to make things happen. So not a big fan. Caden Gooley, 5 games, can't really say much except that the Canadiens really need him back. He was at practice today, which is huge news, and is very, very exciting. So we'll see what happens with that, but not giving him a grade. Joe Veleno, everyone's going to get really mad at this, but I'm not failing Joe Veleno. I think Joe Veleno has had some very phenomenal games. I think if you're looking at Joe Veleno to score, we're looking in the wrong place. And if we're looking at Joe Veleno to be a defensive dynamo, I think that also is not fair. But if you're looking at the context of what Joe Veleno is supposed to be, which is the 13th forward, eat up minutes, play slightly physically, get in people's way, and try and generate scores, like at his job, he's been really good. I'm giving him a B, and I don't care. Jaden Struble. This hurts me physically to say, but he gets a D. He has not been great this season. He struggled, and I really love Jaden Struble. I just think that the situation is not the best for him. A couple of players are also, I think, these players I have to give a grade to, but you have to be really, really careful. So Philippe Danault has only been here for a few games. I think since he's been here, he's been a solid B+, A-. He's brought what we expect from Philippe Danault. He's played really well. I have loved watching Philippe Danault on this team. With Sammy Blais, I never would have expected to say this, but he too has been playing really, really well. So I'm giving him a B+, A-. Kirby Dach, before he unfortunately got injured. I think he had maybe 12 games. Let me double check this. He had 15 games before he got injured. And I thought some nights he was phenomenal. And some nights people were talking about how they need to move on from Kirby Dach. I think the answer is still somewhere in the middle. So if we're looking at what Kirby Dach can bring to the table, and if we're scoring him out of his potential, then I think you have to give him a B-. But if you think about the contributions he made to the team in those good moments, then you do have to give him an A-. So that these again, you can disagree with me on all of this. This is just literally my opinion, and my co-host is not here to argue with me with stats. I'm just looking at trying to look at the raw stats, and then also, what I remember of them over the course of the season that's been going on. So, these are just my opinions, and you are absolutely welcome to disagree. But I should have said this from the beginning. When I am scoring these people, I'm scoring them based on their potential. I'm not scoring, let's say, Arber Xhekaj alongside Lane Hutson. These are two very different people who bring very different things, right? So when I say Lane Hutson is capable of this, the ceiling that Lane Hutson is capable of, I'm grading him according to how well he's doing, according to what I think he's fully capable of, right? So again, I'm not comparing specifically Cole Caufield to Josh Anderson. I'm saying out of what we can expect from Josh Anderson, is he achieving that this season, right? So this is how I'm doing the grading. So I want to get through a couple more people who have not played very long. Okay, so Sammy Blais, astonishing. He's been so good on the Montreal Canadiens. I don't understand. So Sammy Blais potential, A+. Kirby Dach, again, I want to give him a B+. Alex Texier. According to expectations, this would have been a D, right? Our expectations would have been a D. He's been A, A+. I can't fault him. Jake Evans, I'm still not over the injury for Jake Evans, but he always brings his A game. You can't really complain about that. Alex Newhook, before he got injured, was doing so phenomenally. I want to give him an A+++++. You know how they started inventing grades, or the GPA used to be out of 4.0, and then they started doing, okay, well now it's out of 4.2, and then now it's out of 4.5. So I'm inventing a 4.5 GPA, and that's what I'm giving to Alex Newhook. So this was the segment where we got all the people out of the way that have not played a lengthy amount of time this season for the Montreal Canadiens. Danault obviously has played a full season. I think he's played 37 or something games like that. But up next, we're going to get into some of the, it's mean to say regular players, but core players. We'll get into the core players in just one moment here on Locked On Canadiens. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll get a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. And every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, so let's get back into our grading the Montreal Canadiens. So now we're getting into some of the more difficult ones, I think. I don't, like with Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher, for example, if you look at their performance last year, they overpassed or they surpassed their expectations wildly. I think this season we have to be a little bit harder on them because they haven't been as good. And I do want to emphasize that Brendan Gallagher has been better of late. Like I would say the last few games, we have brought him up multiple times as a bright spot in the game, right? So I do think that he's been playing better overall. But if we want to grade him according to his absolute potential, like he's maybe been a B minus. Josh Anderson, kind of the same. I feel like last year we were just so excited with how useful Josh Anderson was. And that's not to say that he hasn't had like some really great games and particularly some insanely good plays on the penalty kill. I think he still had like flashes, right? Like we've seen him do some breakaways, the patented Josh Anderson missed the net, almost crash into the boards kind of thing. But I just feel like this year he has not been as effective as last year. And so with last year, let's say last year was like surpassing expectations. This year, it's not meeting the average expectation, right? And I think they unfortunately set the bar quite high. Zachary Bolduc is one that's a little bit tougher. He's played every game this season, and he does have 17 points on the season, right? So, like, he's on pace for 34 points, right? It's really not nothing. But at the same time, I feel like I want more from him. And so I think he hasn't been all that great defensively. And as my co-host likes to say, when he's on the top line, the play dies on his stick, right? So he's still developing and he's still going to get there. So like, if you're going to give someone a grade that's like based on what you expect their current abilities to be, like I think he's fine. He's a B minus maybe. But if you're grading him according to what you think his potential will be overall, then you want to give it a little bit lower than that, because I really do think that there is a phenomenal player there. I want to say he's played something like 150 games at this point, if that, in the NHL. So I do want to be a bit lenient with him, but he hasn't been all that great defensively. He's had some really flashy moments. I wouldn't say clutch moments, not like a Juraj Slafkovsky or Caufield or Nick Suzuki scoring, with like a couple of seconds to go or tying the game or winning it in overtime. But he's scored a couple of big moments, right? Like he has gotten there. Like there were situations where he got the ball rolling. He got, he opened the scoring or he built on the score. But I haven't hated what I've seen from Zachary Bolduc. And when you like look at the trade itself, who St. Louis got and who Montreal got and how it's going. I think the Canadiens, that this was a very lopsided trade in favor of the Montreal Canadiens, and he's still going to be an asset. And I think like there's a lot to be said for being a hometown boy. But again, like I don't think he's been all that spectacular. And then we have Mike Matheson, and I do need to put up the Mike meter briefly for this one if I can find it and it hasn't disappeared entirely. Where is our mic meter? There it is. So if you are watching on YouTube, you will see the mic meter. If you are new to this podcast, we have a mic meter and it ranges from tragic mic to magic mic, depending on how a game goes. And then after the games, if he's been particularly spectacular, we will call him magic mic, right? It's out of 5, but sometimes we'll give him an 11 or 20 billion, depending on how the game went. And then the tragic mic is, we haven't seen that a lot this season, actually. We have seen very little tragic mic. We saw more of it last year. Now it's more like tragic when he can't be in the lineup because of Brad Marchand. But thankfully he is back. So for Mike Matheson, I want to give him an A++++++++. He's been incredible. I cannot say enough about Mike Matheson this season. He has been so good. And you can tell, like, if there's a night where he's not performing at his absolute best, then the rest of the team doesn't either, right? So he's been so instrumental in pretty much everything but the power play. And he's just, it's just so, he's so good. I can't say enough about him. Oliver Kapanen. So Oliver Kapanen is a rookie. And he has just blown me away. He's got, I think, 22 points on the season. He's played every game, every NHL game. And he has not surprised, he's surprised me. He's not, he's not failed to surprise me in almost every game because he's not doing anything that is highlight reel worthy most of the time. He goes to the net and he knows what to do in every situation. He responds to everything really well. Like, I just cannot say enough about how impressed I have been. And if you look at what you're expecting from a rookie in the NHL, like, he has well surpassed that, right? I think I say this all the time now on this show. I say it on Game Over. I say, like, he is a rookie that plays like a veteran, and the Canadiens are really lucky to have him. What my co-host likes to call him, a luxury third line center, because he's currently centering the second line and doing really well on it. So with Oliver Kapanen, I want to invent more A's for that. A+++++, whatever. Noah Dobson is up next. Also, having played every game this season, I want to give him, he's been really, really good. I'm going to give him an A-. The reason is that we sometimes see him play games that aren't very good. I think when the Canadiens got him from the Islanders, a lot of Islanders fans were happy to be rid of him. And they didn't have very many good things to say about, not overall, just about his defensive game, right? Like, they had good things to say about his offensive game, not his defensive game. I think when they paired him up with Mike Matheson, both players were able to bring out the best in each other. So I'm giving him an A- for now. And I don't know if that's unfairly tainted by the fact that he had a 70 plus point season a couple of years ago. It was either 70 or 71 or 74. I can't remember. And I did write it down somewhere, but like now I'm working off of my computer notes, so I forgot to note that down. So he gets an A-. Juraj Slafkovsky. Again, like Oliver Kapanen, I want to invent A++++, whatever. Like, just infinity pluses after A for Juraj Slafkovsky. He has really been an incredible revelation this season. We made jokes, right? Jokes and critiques about how Juraj Slafkovsky needed to be more than just second half Slav this year, right? We talked about him a lot. And we talked about how he struggles in the first half and then he really brings it in the second half. And last year he was part of the reason the Montreal Canadiens were able to make the playoffs by the end of the year. And this year he has just been like, there's something that I love about watching Juraj Slafkovsky, and I think it's because he has finally figured out how to use his size and skill in tandem. We've always known he's been skilled. We've always known he's been great at protecting the puck. We've always known about his potential. We've always known he has the ability to throw the body if he needs to. And I think that what he's really done is, like, he uses his size really well to kind of grind, or not grind implies, a trap game, like to just will the people around him into submission, right? Like, he takes control over the game with just like using the size and the skill so intelligently. It's so incredible to watch. Like, I think at the end of this season, if we look at all of the players. Like, we're going to look at Mike Matheson having a great year. We're going to talk about Noah Dobson being a great addition. We're going to talk about Ivan Demitov being one of the best rookies. We're going to talk about, Oliver Kapanen impressing. We're going to talk about Nick Suzuki hopefully being a point per game. We might be talking about Cole Caufield hitting 40 points. We might be talking about Lane Hutson surpassing even his rookie season, which already was kind of an outlier for a defenseman, right? So we're going to be talking about all of that. But I think if we're going to talk about like the pivotal player that really helped the Montreal Canadiens be a good team, we're going to be talking about Juraj Slafkovsky the most. And we're almost at time to hit a couple of our core players, and then we do unfortunately have to talk about goaltending. We also have our trivia, and we're going to talk about a couple of areas of concern and who can and needs to be better, and that's all coming up in just one moment here on Locked On Canadiens. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canadiens your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You'll get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Canadiens compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Everydayer Club Discord server is also in store for you. It includes a group chat for listeners of the show, and my co-host is really, really into Discord. He loves it, and I'll be there too. So go to lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right. We've only got a few players left to talk about for report cards. Ivan Demitov. He's been so fun to watch. He's just been so poised, so smart, so hardworking. I think for me, Ivan Demitov has been sort of as I expected, but also better than I expected, because I expected him to be great. I expected him to be this guy. I expected him to be on highlight reels. I expected him to find chemistry with everyone. I expected him to be so good to watch. It's just so fun to watch. But actually seeing it on my screen every day, as opposed to dreaming about it through clips that I saw from the AHL when he wasn't playing very many minutes a night, I just think it's just been like, it slaps you in the face with how great it is, right? So every time I watch him, I think to myself, like, I cannot believe the Montreal Canadiens have this guy on their roster. And I know, like, this year he's like in the, I know he got surpassed in his scoring at some point before I started recording this, but he's still in the top, I want to say top 2 or 3 in scoring for rookies. If I'm not mistaken, you can yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but he's just been so good. Like, there's no way you can't give him anything less than, your A+++, whatever. He's just like, the thing that I keep thinking about with Ivan Demitov is, you've already got your Nick Suzuki, Lane Hutson, Juraj Slafkovsky, Cole Caufield. You've got now Noah Dobson. You've got a bunch of guys who are great, right? But in a couple of years' time, Ivan Demitov is going to be greater than all of them. He is going to be the best player on this team. So you've already got some greats on here. Like, I just get so excited just thinking about Ivan Demitov, but then also just like all the other, like, we've seen many teams in the past where we've got like a guy who's really good and not at Demitov's level or the potential there. But, we've got like, or a core that's shaping up to be really good. A guy like Carey Price, for example, with PK Subban or Max Pacioretty, those kinds of guys. And then you see the supporting cast and it's not that great, right? But Ivan Demitov is a guy where, like, imagine his supporting cast is going to be Juraj Slafkovsky, if not the other way around, right? So I just think it's incredible, and I'm just so excited. Cole Caufield. He currently has 20 goals, so he is on pace for, I'm going to say, to like 40 goals. I think he might be able to pass that this year. He's put up 20 goals, and all we've done this season is talk about other people. We talk about Nick Suzuki, we talk about Lane Hutson, we talk about Juraj Slafkovsky, but he has put up 20 goals. He's got 40 points, right? I think he's going to pass that. And I think, we talk a lot about the Olympic snub. I talked about it a couple of days ago, actually. And Cole Caufield, I think, I don't know if he's going to take this as like a reason, like a fire to be lit under his butt. I just I think that he cares more about just hitting those milestones for himself. Like, I think he really strongly wants to be a 40-goal scorer and even a 50-goal scorer one day. And I do not think that I do not doubt his ability to do that. And I think it's going to be really important for the second half of the season, which, I'm running out of time, but I will get to, who they put on that top line is going to be a major area of concern. I've got two more players left to talk about. Lane Hutson, of course, being better than we expected him to be, or at least I expected him to be. So all of last season, my co-host kept talking about how this is the worst we're ever going to see Lane Hutson, and he broke records, right? Won the Calder Trophy, broke records, and he was like, this is the worst we're ever going to see Lane Hutson be. And I was like, no, because next year's his sophomore year, and there's going to be a sophomore slump. And that's what I fully expected from Lane Hutson. And I not that he was going to be bad, just that he was going to regress a little bit. And instead, he is currently a point per game player. So that's me eating crow. I did it yesterday. I'm going to be doing it a lot this season, I think. I just want to see what happens in the second half of the season with Lane Hutson, because he's definitely a person who's never lacked motivation. I don't think, again, the Team USA snub is really going to change his life in any way other than the fact that it sucks for him. He's going to work hard no matter what. And I just think he's just only getting better, right? Like he's adding a level of maturity to his game. And this entire season, I can think of one half of one game and 1/3 of another game that he wasn't great. Every other game, he was phenomenal, and he was really a play driver. So he's like top of the class for me. Like top of the class is Lane Hutson for me. Which is hard to say because Juraj Slafkovsky is like just slightly behind him. And then Nick Suzuki. I think Nick Suzuki is your reliable, whatever the perfect GPA is. And then, all of his extracurriculars are also really perfect. Like if Nick Suzuki were college application essay, it would be the dream essay. It would be the one where like actors pay for their kids' college essays. Like that's Nick Suzuki in a nutshell. So I think we talk about the Montreal Canadiens having a lot of issues, and the biggest issue is the goaltending. And this is going to be rough because I think that, you're looking at these save percentages, they're not that great. Jakub Fowler's only played 7 games. He's still above a 9. He's a 903, and his goals against is below 3, which I think is phenomenal for a Montreal Canadiens goalie, but I also think it's like pretty good for the league. So Jakub Fowler gets, an A or whatever it is, like the like report card that you sent to the parents before there's grades, and it also is like glowing things about his behavior. That's Jakub Fowler. And then we've got Samuel Montembeault, who is steadily improving, slowly. Like I have told all of you guys on this podcast, I need to see 5 or 6 good games from him. We saw 2 in a row, 2 good starts from Sam in a row. I'm going to need to see a little bit more, but so far he is trending towards a D-. He's dangerously close to an F. Whereas Jakub Dobes had a great start to the season, phenomenal, and now he's back. I think he's like getting close to the league average though. He's at 889 and a goals against of 301, which I think through 21 games played. Yes, 21. I'm going to give him maybe a D+. I know in some schools you don't have that. You just get a D or an F. But I'm going to give him a D+ because he's had some really rough games. So do I want to give him a C- instead? Let's give him a C-. We're going to give Jakub Dobes a C- for the year. So before I get to trivia and talk about what's coming up next, this episode went by very quickly. The Montreal Canadiens have a lot of players, and I had a lot of grades to give out. So a couple of areas of concern that I want to talk about is, one, the power play. So in the second half of the season, the Canadiens really need to figure out how to score on the power play instead of just passing to each other. Who can be and needs to be better? It's like really, I think there are very few players that I think can be better. I think somebody like Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, like they can be better. Anybody I didn't give an A++ to can be better. But who needs to be better, who really needs to be better is Samuel Montembeault and also Jakub Dobes, right? If you look at Jakub Dobes within the context of just being a backup goaltender, then I think the grade that I gave him, like a C- is not bad. But if he's played more games than Sam, so if he's like your starting goaltender, he needs to be better too. So But I think overall, it's a little bit less each the particular player. Yeah, like Jaden Struble needs to be better. I think Arbor I was a bit unfair on him, but I think he can do better. But I really just think like defensively as a team, their structure needs to be improved, or their execution rather than their structure. Like they need to do, and as a whole, goaltending needs to be better. Like the Canadiens are one of the highest scoring teams in the league. So we can't say they're not getting run support. They're not like the people scoring the runs, they're not getting defensive support. So that's going to be an area of concern for the next year. All right. Real quick, I have a couple of things to address for trivia. So on Monday's question, I asked a question and then I didn't do the roll call of the people who got the answers correct. So the people who got Monday's question right are Karam M, Jeff Harple, and Nabil B on YouTube. And then Tuesday's question was the Montreal Canadiens have 15 numbers retired to jersey numbers retired. How many of them were retired for more than one player? And the answer is 3. Number 5 has been retired for Bernie Geoffrion, Boom Boom, Guy Lapointe. And then number 12 is Dickie Moore and Yvonne Cournoyer. I should just say the Roadrunner. And then number 16 is retired for the Pocket Rocket and for Elmer Locke. I was actually at the one where they added Elmer Locke on there. And the 2 people who got that right are Super Rain and Kyle Roberts. I have another fairly easy question for you guys. So a current Montreal Canadian won the Guy Carbonneau Trophy for the best defensive forward. It's kind of like the QMJHL's version of the Selke Trophy. Which current Montreal Canadian is that guy? That's the trivia question for tomorrow. And you can answer it by leaving it in the YouTube comments. You can email us. You can send it to us on Instagram, on TikTok, or on Blue Sky. We are at Locked On Canadiens, all of those places. Again, lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com for our email address. So that was it for today. I feel a bit breathless, like running through those so fast. And tomorrow we'll be back with obviously our Calgary recap. And then we will have our Florida Panthers recap and mailbag on Friday. And at some point this week, my co-host will be back. He just, he's had some stuff to take care of. But again, everything is fine. He's totally fine. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to Locked On Canadiens. Tomorrow's our Calgary recap, as I said. So make sure you subscribe and you follow Locked On Canadiens so that you get all of the latest episodes. And you can find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Locked On Canadiens. Our email address is lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com. Start sending us your mailbag questions now, please, so we have some good ones for Friday. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Canadiens ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure your second listen is NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL. They have they basically recap all of the games that happen, and you'll get like sound bites from us Locked On Canadiens hosts. So you'll see myself or Ian when there is a Habs game. So make sure you check that out. I want to thank you all for listening, and we will be back tomorrow.